former Republican candidate and loser Kari Lake decided that, even though she lost the election, she's not going to admit it and is going to declare herself the governor anyway.
The way we get it changed is we get the real governor, the duly elected governor, myself in there.
We're going to get the duly elected governor in there, myself. No, you're not a duly elected governor. I mean, if you're the governor, then why has Katie Hobbs been sworn into office instead of Kari Lake? I mean, that's a good question. Well, apparently, she has an answer to this. She's just going to allow it.
Katie Hobbs was not duly elected. Everybody in the state knows that. And she can play house and play governor for a while, but eventually the truth is going to catch up and we will win.
Oh, okay. Well, she could just do that for now, but eventually I'm gonna take my rightful place in office too. But she can go for a while. How magnanimous of you. Gee, thank you. Appreciate that. I'm just the temporarily embarrassed governor. See, that's what that is. I'm supposed to be in there, but I'm letting Katie Hobbs go in there for now. Wow. I'm the real governor. You'll see. You'll all see. No, we won't. we're actually, you know what? We'll keep seeing how much of a loser you are, how much of a sore loser you are. Keep hitting that copium. I mean, there's got to be a very, very large, steady supply of copium that she has not been able to burn through yet. It's amazing. Now, in the interview, she also admitted that she was essentially shopping for a judge. Now, the kind of judge that she's looking for is not somebody who's going to rule impartially on the merits of the case that she is bringing. No, she just wants someone who's going to rule in her favor. Someone like, for example, Judge Cannon, who tried to rule in favor of Donald Trump. And then, oh, what's that? Judge Cannon? No longer presiding. Yes, that's right. No longer getting into that case because guess what? She overextended and tried to, intervene on behalf of Trump in order to help him. So that's a different case, obviously, as the Mar-a-Lago, that's the document stuff. But in her case, she keeps trying to allege fraud where fraud didn't happen. And obviously, she has no evidence of that. And so she keeps losing her case after case after case. And so look, earlier today, by the way, the Arizona Supreme Court ruled against her position to hear out her claims that, again, she's already had some of her claims heard in court and rejected. In its order, the Arizona Supreme Court noted that the Division I of the Arizona Court of Appeals had set aside time to hear possible oral arguments in the case and said, quote, "No good cause appears to transfer the matter to this court." No good cause. Now, this is after another court had heard two challenges to the election from Hobbs, her lawyers, and her, I would say, rather sketchy witnesses / sources. One of them, by the way, being an investigator, a so-called private investigator. Oh, great. Named Heather Honey. I'm not kidding. That's her name. Okay. So let me give you some information on her. Because it turns out in late December, the Philadelphia Inquirer published an expose. Here's what they wrote. Heather Honey is the founder of Haystack Investigations, because they're trying to find a needle, right? Very, very clever. A Lebanon-based firm whose website says it belongs to the Pennsylvania Association of Licensed Investigators. But is it? I mean, I don't know. Federal records show that Haystack LLC's address belongs to a Lebanon UPS office. Very, very legitimate firm being run out of a UPS box. Great. Now, Jesse Bunch also reports the association's website says that Honey is an investigator with over 30 years experience in private, corporate, and government investigations. and that she is an open source intelligence analyst and security consultant. What does that mean? What does it mean to be an open source intelligence analyst? Are you just, does that just mean that she's going to take like any source from anywhere, like lift from Wikipedia or something? That is my source. Or my source is random person that, you know, is yelling crazy things on the street or on the bus. That is my, I'm open source. I'm getting my intelligence from rando yelling at me across the street. Very legitimate. Very legitimate. And now she also is the founder of something called Verity Vote, an organization that bills itself as an election integrity research and investigations group. Okay, great. I wonder if that's like True the Vote or whatever, like, I don't know, immediately discredited right-wing so-called voter fraud investigative, you know, group. I mean, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like part of one of those. Now, she says, I'm sorry, the report here said that after encountering suspicious circumstances while voting in 2020, i.e. the person that I wanted to vote for lost, Honey began a campaign to obtain voter-by-voter electronic election records in Pennsylvania to compare them with the work of election officials in counting total votes. Verity Vote falsely claimed that hundreds of thousands of ballots were sent to unregistered voters in Pennsylvania ahead of the midterm election, and made other unfounded allegations, including that absentee voters who have never lived in the United States, oh, here we go, United States influenced the results. So here we go, foreign voters. It's the Chinese, it's the Italians, it's the Iranians, it's the Pomeranians. They were out here influencing their voting. That's what they were doing. Okay, do you have any proof of that? No, we don't. The group also claimed that Pennsylvania had a voter deficit in the 2020 election that left over 100,000 votes unaccounted for, a false claim that has been debunked. Honey's firm was also alleged to have participated in the Arizona's GOP-funded audit in the 2020 election. That would, of course, be the Cyber Ninjas. That year, Haystack Investigations reportedly contracted by the now-defunct cybersecurity firm Cyber Ninjas. During the 6-month, multi-million-dollar audit, the very one that confirmed Joe Biden's victory in the state. Wow. Now, that said, after that embarrassing result, you know, which just happened to be the truth, what actually happened is Biden did win the election in Arizona, in these states there where you had all these ridiculous challenges. She decided, oh, no, Cyber Ninjas. Oh, no, I never worked for them. No. In fact, she denied that she was contracted by the Cyber Ninjas in an email on December 31st. I wouldn't be surprised if she had lied about that. And that's because during her case for Kari Lake, she made all sorts of false allegations that she could not prove. She argued that election workers had improperly inserted ballots in Arizona's system and claimed that the county failed to provide her chain of custody documents for ballots that were dropped off on election day, to which a Maricopa County attorney had argued that she simply did not understand the types of documents that were issued. You don't understand because you don't know what you're talking about. We would be happy to show you what the reality is, but what you're saying is just not true. Citing a claim made by an employee of a company responsible for scanning the state ballots, Honey also alleged that workers had collected at least 50 ballots on behalf of their family members. A Maricopa County elections director admitted that he did not know the third-party company permitted its employees to drop off ballots for family members. Honey, however, said it was not answerable when questioned about how many other ballots have been supposedly injected into the system. We know there's a lot of ballots. There's a lot of ballots. Just, a very, very many, great many of, illegal ballots. How many? I can't answer that. So you don't know. So you're making this allegation without knowing. And you don't have any evidence to back it up. Well, that's where we're doing investigations. You investigated with the Cyber Ninjas, and you found that the results were pretty much the same as the official count. Where's your evidence? We don't have it. So that's one of Kari Lake's star witnesses, which, by the way, matches up with other witnesses who basically had no idea how things actually worked. And that's what it is. And since they didn't have any idea of how the voting system actually worked, they immediately jumped to, well, it must be fraud because I didn't get the result that I was asking for. Well, just because you don't understand the process and how it works, by the way, there's nothing preventing you from actually learning the process, because there was one conservative, I remember showing this video. There was a conservative who was like, I think there's something fishy going on in our election system. I'm going to be a poll worker, right? And then went to be an official state election worker, learned how everything worked, and came back later and was like, yeah, all this stuff is legit. Like, they showed me how it works so I can actually do the job. And it turns out all this fraud stuff is just nonsense. Like, I thought there was a real problem. No, it just turns out we have no idea what we're talking about. Well, yeah. And so that's basically the essence of all of these alleged witnesses. Like, we see vote tampering, we see this stuff, people carrying crates, or suitcases full of ballots, and the ballot counts are being inflated afterwards, all this weirdo stuff. And turns out there's very reasonable explanations, because that's how voting works all the time, everywhere. And when it comes to, things that, for example, machines that have issues, errors, that happens to machines all the time. And we have this outdated election infrastructure that desperately needs to be upgraded and modernized. And that's why you have these errors, because guess what? Those do happen. Anybody who's worked anywhere in any job knows that things happen. That there are, machines that mess up and things that happen. And you go and you fix those things. And then you might have to retroactively go through some things to sort it out. And that's what happened in all these different cases. They went through, they sorted things out. They went to redundancies and backups. And, well, they went and they counted the ballots, and they came up with the fact that there was no fraud here. Because there wasn't. But just because someone doesn't understand something doesn't mean that there's a nefarious conspiracy or fraud going on here. And being ignorant, by the way, is not an excuse. But understand, this is kind of how conspiracies, some of them start. They don't like what's going on. They don't like the result that happened. And they think, well, there's no way I could have lost. There's no way I was wrong about this. I can't accept responsibility for being incorrect, or I just can't see how something didn't go my way. There must have been people out to get me, or people out to get them, people out to stop us. And what do they do? One of the things that they do, I should say, is that they decide they're going to become pseudo experts. They're going to do their research, which involves, like, ironically, watching like shitty YouTube videos or going to conspiracy blogs. And then, of course, they come back and they say, well, look at that. I found something. Oh, yeah. See, and I found the thing and you missed it because you're either stupid or you're one of them, or you're sheep. That's what it is. No, the reality is you're just a sore loser. Like Kari Lake, who just can't let it go.